All right, so this is Nubia of NubianQueen podcast, Nubian Queen Nation podcast. And as you know, I always start off by saying I have a special guest, and I have to start by saying, let's talk representation. I saw this Instagram post from somebody else's page, and I went and I started looking, and I just could not stop looking at every single post. And so I contacted our guest here today, and she's going to tell us all about her company by starting with her name and then her company's name. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Shanley Simpson. I'm the owner of You Go Girl Melanin Greeting Card Company.
Yay! So my goodness, so I love the name. Again, you said it's called You Go Girl Cards, right? So what made you come up with that name and the whole concept of these cards that look like me, melanated?
They definitely do. That's the whole point of it. So the reason I came up with the name was because I always think of, like, right now, it's our time as Black women and women of color. You know, we come in different colors, and it's our time. And when I look at all of my friends, a lot of my family and my peers, a lot of them are like doing their thing. And every time, you know, someone sends us something to our group chat, like of an accomplishment that they've done, we're like, you go, girl. And I just think it's something that is recognized by so many different people. When you say you go, girl, you know what that means. That means congratulations. Yes, yes, queen. You know, all the things that we all say to congratulate someone and to congratulate a woman. So I wanted a name that was simple, that everyone understood. When you see it, you know what it means. Originally, when I came up with the concept, I wanted it to just be a card for congratulations. Like, if someone has an accomplishment, if you know someone doing something great, or who's just a great person, you can send them a card that says, you go, girl, you're doing your thing. And I thought it was simple and to the point, really.
I see that because for bridal and for babies, because I'm on this screen with you over here, but I have my other screen up, so I'm looking at all of these beautiful, beautiful posts that you've been, and you're way ahead of the game because you haven't even really officially launched yet, right? So when is your launch?
That's the crazy part about it. So we launched February 2nd this year, and it's been kind of crazy because I just announced this almost 2.5 weeks ago, and I came up with the concept very shortly before that. It's just skyrocketed. And like I said, originally when I came up with the concept, it was just for a congratulatory card. But then I started to think about it, like, we're doing so many different things and we wear so many different hats as women that it probably should be a little bit more than that. Because when we go to look for a greeting card, you know, we're looking for all types of different things. So why not? Why not have something that represents us, that we're giving to someone that possibly looks like us, and it expresses all different things that you want to express, you know? So like you said, there's maternity cards, there's cards for friends, birthdays, we're gonna literally not have everything, but so many different occasions.
And before you go any further, I see that you have your logo already go.
I do. Representation matters.
You are just, I mean, and then when I look at the site, again, I'm gonna say You Go Girl Cards on Instagram. And then the launch date, 2/2/22. I'm like, look at you. Like, so that's so intentional. Like, is there a special, like you just said, you just had your anniversary. Congratulations for 1 year.
Thank you. We've been married officially 1 year yesterday.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So the date was, it was intentional, but not necessarily intentional. So a little bit about my past. I own a book publishing company as well,
Awesome.
Opportunity Publishing, which kind of led the way into being able to do this, especially as quickly. So I've also have done business construction for a lot of different people and companies. And one of the rules I always tell people is, if you have an idea or a concept and you really actually want to do it. Like, it doesn't take long. You don't have to spend a lot of time on your logo and your name and all these things, because look at Target, look at Amazon. Like, it's so simple,
right?
And they make all the money, and we're giving them all of our money.
You know what I'm saying? Definitely, especially during this time frame. Exactly.
Right. I know I'm guilty of it, but the point is, when I had this idea, and I was like, I'm gonna tell a couple of people, just kind of see the feedback. And everyone that I spoke to was like, this is amazing. You have to do this. And I was like, okay, well, let me post. Because when you put it out there, it's real. And I put it out there. And I mean, even just my Instagram, it's been a little over 2 weeks, and we have almost 7,000 followers, like 6,500.
Yes.
Which is crazy.
I only 20 posts, because I'm looking at it right now. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
it's been like a wildfire. And I think that was it. I pretty much just gave myself a month. I said I can do this in a month. I have all the resources for the most part. And I just wanted to challenge myself. Like, I can build this company in a month. And I mean, it's happened, so it's pretty cool. That was just a great day that I thought that people will remember, 2/2/22.
Well, I think that's awesome that I actually accidentally called you on, well, text you on your anniversary of your marriage to do this podcast today.
For sure.
This is just so, it's just so inspiring because I think that when it comes to business, doing a podcast, YouTube, whatever, we put so much thought into it that sometimes we don't even get started. So the fact that you've been doing this for, like you said, a couple of weeks, and look at where you are now. And like I said, I was just browsing somebody else's page. I can't even tell you whose page I was even on, but that led me to your page, which led me to, contacting you, and you got right back to me. So it's just, I think that a lot of times we have to put aside being perfectionists. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So sometimes just doing the dang thing is way more important than being perfect. You can, iron out all those little things towards the end,
Absolutely. Good is good enough sometimes.
Exactly. So goodness gracious. And then I'm just saying everybody has to go and take a look at these beautiful posts. I might even use the let's talk representation as maybe, of course he has such a beautiful face. We're going to use your profile picture for something too, but I like that. Let's talk representation. So,
Oh, yeah.
So do you have any children too? Like you said, you have the publishing company. Tell us about the publishing company. How long have you been doing that?
Yeah, so it's Opportune Publishing. I've been doing it now for about 8 years. We're non-genre specific. So, and we specialize in new authorship. So if you're someone who has a book concept, or you've recently written a book, you basically come to us and we'll help you develop it, construct it, and then put it through a distribution so it's available everywhere. So it's pretty simple. It's pretty cool. We've had quite a few authors, and it's amazing. It's completely full service. So we do everything in-house, which is how it kind of led to this. I use one of my illustrators from my book publishing company to create the actual designs for the greeting cards.
Well, I'm shaking my head because I'm just in awe, and I'm not sure if you're faith-based, but I am. Nothing happens by accident. Everything is, divine, by a divine appointment, I believe. And so I'm just so inspired just from, like I said, looking at the beautiful representation. I mean, like you said, we love everybody, but to look at your post and see that they represent me and my daughters and my whole family, it's just wonderful. And that's doesn't mean that we're thinking less of anybody else. It just means that we're just beautiful and you're representing it very well.
Thank you so much. And that was our main point. I wanted to make sure that we represented all Black women, because we all come in so many different shades, sizes. Hair is always different. Eyes, smile, nose, everything it's in such a variety that when we go to like if we go to CVS or any pharmacy or store that sells greeting cards, you're kind of stuck to what to choose from. I a lot of times, especially after I started this and I started asking people, they would say, I spend out, or maybe not hours, literally, but they spend so much time in the card aisle, literally just trying to find the perfect card. And I do the same thing. So I'm a big card giver as well. And I always look for Black everything. I don't care if I'm doing a party, if I'm buying a pencil, whatever it is, more than likely I'm at minimum, I'm at least looking for a Black owned company that I can purchase from. And I feel like a lot of people are doing that now.
Nowadays, yes.
And I remember years ago when the whole first buy Black, well, first of all, I've been buy Black for a very long time, but when it started becoming more popular socially, I think I've heard some things that were like, well, if we buy Black everything, we're not going to have everything, which I thought was absurd then, but it's even more absurd now because there's so many different businesses. There's so many different things that we can buy that either represents us or that's from people that look like us. So I wanted to make sure that I was able to do that same thing, because when I go to a greeting card section, it's hard to find something that looks like us or that represents us. Of course, there's Hallmark Mahogany's line, but even, and it could be different in different places, but I live in Dallas, and here, and I've been to several stores, I even asked other people, you can't even find a mahogany anymore. And if you do, it's maybe one or two, and even when my husband purchased cards, he knows how I am. If it's not a Black woman on there, it better be something that, you know, that's going to bring it home for me.
It look
And
natural. It better be the outside scenery, trees and things like that.
it better be something, but it better not be something that doesn't represent who I am.
Right.
And I'm sure he probably spends a lot of time in doing that, but for me, I just thought it would be nice to make it easier, or to make someone feel good. Like, this is for my girlfriend or my wife or my friend or my coworker or my mom or my daughter, because you can't really find greeting cards for children that look like them either. So I just wanted to bring that aspect to retail shelves or online. You don't have to necessarily buy it from a retail store. You can buy it from our website or Etsy or Amazon, or any of those places after February 2nd.
Okay.
And you know, it's basically just filling a void or a gap, you know?
Yes. And I'm so glad that you said that you're in Texas and I'm actually in Connecticut. And, you know, it's very important because I have 3 daughters and I have a son. And when my daughters were little, we lived in Virginia. And I would say to them, because when I was younger, you know, I'm a little bit older, it was hard for me to get a card that looked like me, or even a doll baby that looked like me. And so I said to myself, when my girls were little, we love all people, but I want my daughters to know that they are beautiful, you know? So in my household, I'm like, okay, we're going to have a certain ratio here. Everybody in the house looks like us, and so your dolls need to look like us too. And we have a couple of other dolls that we throw in there every once in a while, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so you said ratio. Sorry.
So that was just so important to have that representation. Again, that word is so important. And I wanted to say too, for all my listeners that are here in Connecticut that know me, I'm just at a point now in my life where I just need to be unapologetically me. Like, it doesn't mean I like you less. I just like me, and I'm going to be unapologetic about it. And
so that's funny that you say that. That's actually in my personal Instagram bio, unapologetically me. I feel like every person, but especially us as women of color, it's important that we get to that point. Some of us get there earlier, some of us get there a little bit later. I personally am thankful because the women in my family are very much that. And most families are, in the sense of, you have these strong Black women who are who they are. I mean, at whatever point in their life, they're unapologetic about it. I know my grandma is absolutely that way. She's going to tell you how she feels, and she's going to be proud about it. And being that I was raised around that, that's pretty much how I am. And you know, there's a lot of things going on in the world socially, but at the end of the day, we are who we are. Right. And why not be proud of that?
And, you know, again, going back to Virginia, when I was there, my girls, they're homeschooled. They're in their 20s now, but when they were younger, I homeschooled them. And before that, though, they were in a private school in Virginia. And I can remember my daughter coming home, my second daughter coming home. The first one was in kindergarten, the other one was in pre-K. And she came home and Britney Spears was popular back then. And she wanted to have her hair like Britney Spears. Oh. And I was like, Lord, help me with this child. Because she was the only little brown girl. She was the only little brown girl in her class, and her sister was the only little brown girl in her class. And so I just said, you know what, we got up on her bed one day, we were jumping up and down, and I was just saying, you know, I'm sorry. I was saying, I'm Black and I'm proud, you know what I mean? Because I wanted this little 4-year-old to understand, just because you look different in your class, you are no different. You are equal. You are, honey, you wear that crown. You know what I mean?
That's right. Absolutely.
So then she went to school, and after she realized this at 4, everybody wanted to have pigtails like her. I'm like, here you are trying to look like this other person, celebrity, but all your little friends want to have pigtails like you. You know what I mean? Exactly. So, oh my goodness, people have to understand that, you know, you have to have representation. Even a friend of mine, she says, well, why do you like this I won't name the famous person. Why do you like this woman of color that's very famous? I said, because she represents me on television. That's why. I don't have to like everything that she does, but she represents me, which tells me if she can do it, then I can do it.
Absolutely.
You know, so that's why these cards mean so much, just seeing this. And I'm just so happy that you're doing this and this endeavor. So, and look at your little girl. She gets to grow up. Mommy's a publisher. Mommy's also doing this entrepreneur thing. I just love it.
I'm really hoping so. And I mean, that's what it's really all about, is that representation, because it's so powerful and it's so needed. And there's so many little girls out there who don't get that. You know, there's so many little girls that's been in that situation that your daughters were in. I mean, even grown women. When
Yes.
I worked in a corporate office, I was more than likely one of two, one of three women of color, especially in certain positions or in departments.
Right.
And when you do see, for example, when I was in college and I went to Florida A&M University,
All right.
and when I was in college, there was a particular woman who was in, I believe she was in Congress, and she would come to our school and always talk to us about different things. And it was so inspiring because not only at an HBCU is it inspiring itself, they're going to pack all the Black pride in you.
Right.
But when you actually see a real person on a certain level doing certain things, that representation really lets you know that this can be you. You can do it. And she was very boisterous about that. So it doesn't matter at whatever stage or point in your life, that representation does matter, whether we can be that for someone else, or whether even these cards, if that just helps somebody, you know, get that pride and knowing that they can be whatever. We have all these different things. I think it truly, truly does make a difference, you know?
And the fact that I am a head wrap person, and it's not because of, you know, I'm a Christian woman, and somebody at a church that we were previously said to my daughters when I started wearing head wraps, "Did your mom switch to Muslim?" I had nothing against Muslim, but why? What? I mean, seriously? And then it's my choice that I get to wear head wraps, but people, depending on what their religion or their background is, some of them, they cannot leave the house without having on what hijab or something that's covering them. And to me, people just need to open up and understand that we come in all different shapes and sizes and religions and all those things. And I have to say, I would love for you to make a card with, I think one of my cousins one time, whose daughter was at a private school somewhere in Florida, and she was also one of the little brown girls. And she said that, "Mommy, when I go to drink water, my friends get to hold their hair." And so if you had a little card with a little girl with her little braids holding it, drinking from the water fountain, that would be bomb.
That's actually super cute.
You know what I'm saying? Because our little girls, you know what I'm saying. I don't have to explain to you. Kind of,
I know exactly what you're saying.
We want to be able to play with our hair too. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And even that, there's different situations. Like when I was a kid, my mom kept our hair in braids. Whether it was shorter, whether it was longer, whether it was the winter, whether it was the summer, we always had braids. And there were certain situations that, I mean, and I typically wear my hair in braids too. I just got it straightened yesterday for our anniversary, but there's situations that people with braids only understands. You know, like even when you do see the other little girls who have straight hair, or, you know, whatever race they are, they have their own experience. So I think there's nothing wrong with talking about our experience too, because we have one of our own, you know, especially little girls. When you see so many different things, it can be just so many situations. So I have to really think about that and come up with some concepts for little girls, because it's important.
I have, when my girls were little, because like I said, I have 3 little girls, because the school that they went to, I would make their braid like a little braid right here, so they could have one, and they could just like put it right behind their ear if they want.
That's amazing.
You know what I'm saying? Had the little braid going to the front, so they could like have a little bead on it, so they could, just those things
that is so funny.
People don't understand that unless you are a woman or a little girl of color. You know what I mean? It's just so
absolutely. Absolutely.
So I so appreciate this, and you making time for us. And is there something else that you'd like to add? I don't want to rush you at all. I just totally appreciate your time.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, really, I just would really love for the support of everyone with these cards. Even if you're not a brown girl, like even in our bio or about me, we say that we do believe that all women matter. All women are beautiful. All women are important. These cards are specifically just to represent us. So if you are someone that's not a Black woman, even if you're a Black man, these cards can be given to Black women. Yes. If you're not a woman of color, these cards can be given to Black women. You know, I don't want to box the company in. I just want to highlight the importance of it. And that message too, because it doesn't necessarily even have to be through our cards. It can sometimes be a conversation piece. Like you said, I was browsing through someone's profile or their page, and I stumbled across this. You know, that could be a conversation that maybe someone needs to have with their little girl or their friend. Me and my friends talk about it all the time. Mm-hmm. And it's important. It makes you feel heard,
yes,
seen,
Yes.
And I just think it's really important. So whether it's through supporting our cards or just the message in itself, I would just really, really, really appreciate if people really just took a second to think about the representation.
Yes.
And
I
also look out for us on February 2nd.
So I also have to come up with something for military. I was in the military, and I can remember this one story where this one young girl was from Utah, and we worked a midnight shift. And so she said, I don't know, we started talking about different things because, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. What else are you going to talk about? And we started talking about Hallmark cards and dolls. And
Oh, wow.
and I said to her, she was like, yeah, Utah or something like that. I think she grew up Mormon. Nothing against Mormons. I love everybody. And she said, and I said, well, when I was growing up, there was no brown dolls and we talked about Hallmark cards. And she said, I said, yeah, so I had to buy Hallmark cards that didn't look like me. I said, so would you buy a card that, was a brown skin person? She said, why would I do that? I'm like, exactly. I had no choice. At that time, I had no choice.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. You don't, it's difficult to understand something that you would never be put in the situation of. And I think those are conversations too that are hard for some people to have, but I do think it's important to show other people, that who may not have those certain struggles, that it's different and it is what it is. This is our experience, and we're trying to shape it now. We're trying to stop having those experiences, which is why, this company exists, but there's so many other companies as well that are trying to mold the future for us, that we don't have to be boxed in to do certain things or subjected to certain things anymore.
Exactly.
And I'm happy you did say that to her, because that could change her perspective on certain things.
And one more thing, I know we're kind of getting close to our time, but I was on another post. This is a couple years back, and it just happened. I would love to have been a jogger, somebody who runs or athletic. I'm not, right? But at one time, I wanted to like run with different friends of mine. Like I said, I'm in Connecticut, and some of my friends were like, "Well, we're at a faster pace than you are," which I kind of get it. You know what I mean? I'm not going to try and slow anybody down. And so when I was on this one post, I started looking for Black girls who bike, Black girls who ski, or whatever. Black girls. So there's all these different things that are out there now that say colored women of color who do this. And so this one lady who was of a different ethnicity, she said, why do you have to say Black women of this or women of color of this? I said, because we don't have an Italian name gives you away and they know that you're Italian. A Spanish name kind of gives you away and you know that person's Latina, So I said, there are certain last names that kind of give it away and they let you know what the person's ethnicity is. I said, but when you're a woman of color, we don't have that. So we have to say, this is a room of women of color. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. You are more than welcome here. But Absolutely. That is why it says Black women who run or Black women who bike or women of color of this, because we're just trying to identify a room in a space that's comfortable or welcoming. That's all.
Absolutely. And I think that also speaks to what the conversation that you had with the young lady that was from Utah. When everything is already something, we almost have to create a space intentionally for ourselves. Like, I personally am not the biggest fan of identifying everything as like Black this, Black this, Black that. But if you don't, it's probably not going to be that. Right. And everyone wants to feel comfortable, not to say that we aren't comfortable in other situations, but like you said, when you're looking for a certain thing, sometimes you do have to label it that. And unfortunately, there's no white women that bicycle or white women that, all these, not to just put it on white women, but there's no other call out for that are women that are not of color, people that are not of color. And I don't know how to change that. Right. I'm hoping one day we could figure it out and it's less like in your face, right. But that is our situation. And it might be hard to understand for others, but that's our situation, at the end of the day. And,
in our closing, one of my last podcasts, my thing is, if you have a daughter, a child, or even you yourself, we have our little cliques of our friends. But when you're as your children are growing, whether they're in a Brownies or a Boy Scout, whatever the group is, try and include somebody who doesn't look like your child to become a friend of your child.
Absolutely.
If you don't encourage that, then how are we going to change the world? Just be more inviting And it doesn't always have to be somebody who looks exact. And that goes for women of color too. Invite other people in to your group that are not like you. You know what I mean?
Everyone needs experiences with other types of people. Like we grow up with people that look like us, you know, until you go to school.
Maybe.
Depending on the schools you go to.
Unless you grew up like me in Connecticut. You know,
Right.
everybody looked like me was my cousin, but you know.
See, it's environmental.
It is.
And I do think it's important because everyone should have experiences, especially positive experiences with other races and ethnicities, because if not, you grow up into those people who are less tolerant or understanding or inviting of other types of people. I think that's absolutely extremely important. Yes. Because socially, you know, but it's okay to be different. It's okay to be around people that's like you. It's okay to be comfortable in those spaces, but you still have to interact because no, we're not on the planet by ourselves.
Exactly.
You know?
So in closing, tell us, look, like I'm in church, this is our third time closing. But if you could tell us where we can contact you, we know your Instagram page, maybe you're publishing, and I'll also take your information and put it in the bio section too. But where else can we find you?
Thank you. So we're on Facebook, Instagram as yougogirlcards, and our website is shopugougirl.com. That's the main place to find us. Like I said, we'll be in Etsy, on Etsy. We'll also be on Amazon. We'll probably pop up at a few retail spots. We've been invited to be at other businesses, which is really great. Like I said, we still have about 2 weeks until we go live. So who knows, there may be a whole nother list between now and then, but definitely please follow us, show your support. We really appreciate all the support that we've had thus far. And I really appreciate you reaching out too. This was really fun. And I definitely appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, hopefully we'll count this as your warm up for the ABCs and the NBCs of the world.
From your lips to God's ears.
The BTs and the one, what's that one other channel, one channel, whatever they are. But this is your warm up. So
absolutely
totally appreciate you. All right then. So I'm gonna stop right now. Thank you guys for joining us on Nubian Queen Nation podcast. And until next time, peace and blessings.